Good afternoon, everyone. So we're slowly letting people in, and we also started our live stream on YouTube. So if you have friends or workmates who are also joining us this afternoon, tell them to log in now. So this afternoon is our third webinar for the month. And this afternoon, we are going to talk about emotionally intelligent coaching, how to create safe and empowering coaching conversations. So while we're waiting, you can introduce yourselves in the chat box and tell us where you're coming from. So there, hi Ian. So have a healthy day, everyone. We have Archie joining us from Sampaloc, Manila this afternoon. We have JV from Bataan. We have Marichelle, we have Melina, we also have Janella, we also have Ira from DSWD NCR. So we also have Sarina, good afternoon. We have Christian, we have Anne Fernie from Caloocan. And I think we also have students. We have Erica from PUP Manila. We have Cha from Sampaloc, Quezon Province. We also have, oh, Melina is from the surfing capital of the North. I'm also from La Union. Hello, hello. So we have Janella from Alabang. We have people representing the South. We have Queenie from Santa Rosa, Laguna. We have Thad from Baguio. So we have a very interesting mix of participants this afternoon coming from all over the Philippines. So we also have Joanna. We have Nelvin from Zamboanga. We also have Geraldine from Moal Boal Campus, Cebu, CTU. We also have Mary Ann from Bacolod City. Hello. Good afternoon again. So we're going to start in a few minutes. So just sit back and relax. Make sure you have a pen and paper ready. So just a few reminders. So while we're waiting for the other participants, have another device ready or be ready to go to another link. We are using Mentimeter and Pigeonhole for this afternoon. We want to engage with you, so make sure you participate using those links. And all of you will be on mute initially, but you can ask your questions in the chat box or through Pigeonhole. So you can just scan the QR code flashed on the screen and keep it open so that if any time during the webinar you have questions, you can put it in. So aside from that, you may participate through the chat box or just raise your hand. And then we're also going to give you an evaluation form after, and it will be only open for 30 minutes. So make sure you stay until the end of the webinar. So again, good afternoon. So this afternoon is very, very interesting. We have Kay, one of our partners, PW's partners. And she's also a regular during our free webinars each month. Okay, we're just settling in. Yes, for the one who's asking, I think we have FB live stream and we're also streaming this on YouTube. Okay, so we're ready. So make sure you're all ready and very, very comfortable. So again, good afternoon. For those of us who do not know us yet, we are Positive Workplaces, and our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And we believe that positive cultures are made through positivity ripples, where we start by leading ourselves. And one of the ways we lead ourselves is attending webinars like this one, so that we are able to equip you with knowledge, which creates more awareness and develops your skills and insights. And once you are able to lead yourself, we can begin influencing others, and collectively as a group, we lead cultures. And ultimately, as a community, we can build positive workplaces. Again, I'll just go through the reminders, have another device, or be ready to go to another link. All of you will be on mute, so you can just type in your questions or your insight in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. And then we are also going to have an evaluation, and you will automatically get your certificate. So be sure to enter the correct details. Be sure you enter your correct name, and be sure that you enter the correct email address so that you will receive it afterwards. Again, you can scan this QR code so that you can enter your questions on Pigeonhole. Anne is also sharing the link of our Pigeonhole in the chat box. So for this month, every month we hold free webinars, and this month we focused on championing leadership and kindness in the workplace. On the first webinar in this series, Selena discussed the importance of check-ins and how this helps us in developing a compassionate and empathic team culture. And on the second webinar, Tin and Francis shared their stories on how to be a heliotropic leader or a hero, where you use hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism to be that energy-giving leader in your organization. And today we are going to talk about emotionally intelligent coaching, how to create safe and empowering coaching conversations with Kay Verdeleon. And it is an honor to present and introduce to you our resource speaker this afternoon. So Karen Rose, or Kay Verdeleon, are registered psychologist and a PAP certified specialist in counseling and assessment psychology. She is a co-founder of Child Farm Possibilities Psychosocial Services in Quezon City, where she holds clinic hours, offering services in counseling and psychotherapy, psychiatric consultation, psychological assessment, and workshop facilitation. She is passionate about work with persons with mood disorders, survivors of abuse and trauma, persons with non-chemical addictions, adult children of addicts, and individuals needing inner child work. So let's give a virtual round of applause to our resource speaker this afternoon. So I'm turning the virtual floor to you, Kay.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabby, for the very, very warm introduction. And good afternoon, everyone, to everyone who has signed up and is in the Zoom room watching this webinar, as well as to everyone watching the live and maybe the recording of our stream. No? Napaka ganda na makita po no, while I was looking at your hellos and good afternoons, to see that we have a group that is from Luzon, no, Visayas, and Mindanao. I'm not even sure meron bang overseas yata, no? So it's very nice to see na we are all over the Philippines. And what I love from that is you signed up for a discussion on leadership and kindness. So biruin mo yan, ano, it's already a positive thing with regards to the goal of positive workplaces, of creating ripples. I'm pretty sure anyone who would sign up to learn more about giving and being more kind to others is already creating ripples in their own way. So as mentioned, no, very, very excited. I'll formally share my deck. Today, we are going to talk about a very, I suppose, na popular subject kasi a lot of people interested in wellness and personal development are looking now to coaching as a way to achieve those goals. And what you're going to talk about today is a particular kind of coaching approach Not necessarily naman just one structure, but something that we can embrace. And this is something we can use not just if we're formal professional coaches, but even in our everyday conversations with our loved ones. No, you want to teach your children, for example, for the parents here, talk to your peers, or if you're working, diba, maybe establish a better relationship that has a more coaching nature with the people that you are working with. And particularly, we want to focus on this very important aspect of emotional intelligence coaching, which is how do we create safe and empowering coaching conversations. So we may not be able to go through the every detail of what coaching is about, but we want to build on two concepts. How do we create safe and empowering conversations with whoever we feel is in need of this kind of support? So I hope no that that is something that you're excited about. And talaga naman po no na I love webinars like this because I think of this as not just learning something new, but being able to reflect as well on our own ways of doing and our own well-being. So with that in mind, I want to start with a very, very quick check-in question. So consider this as our getting to know you. Para even if we are not together, no, we are virtual, we are in our respective rooms and our respective workstations, para na rin tayong nagkakakilanlan. Ayan. And my getting to know you, ayan, my kamustahan question for you is this. So we know that it's 3 p.m. and we know that it's the middle of the week. Ayan. Kung meron tayong Manic Mondays at meron tayong Thank God It's Friday, I wonder what is the middle of the week for you? So just to check in on how everyone is doing, can you kindly complete the sentence? Ayan, it's midday in midweek. I feel, ayan, Jocelyn is saying, no, I feel just fine. Very good. Happy to know. Marilyn is sleepy but grateful. Very nice. Productive Wednesday. Very good. Tired. I feel you, Geraldine. Ano? Ayan, tired. I see also another person sharing. Yan, needs some rest. Surprisingly productive. Kasi may reputation si si midweek. No? Pag nasa gitna na parang nandyan na yung energy na uubos. Stressed. Ayan, motivated. I'm seeing exhausted there. Great. Ayan, okay. Stressed and exhausted, but still fighting. May caveat. I love that, no? May is exhausted but productive, no? Grateful, ayan. Very nice. Excited, fighting. I love it. You know, the thing about check-in questions, I'm sure as discussed previously, no, this is not about coming up with just being chirpy and being happy. So any answer is acceptable. You are safe to share however your midweek is going. What we feel naman is not necessarily what we are going to do or how we will be tomorrow as we move forward. So maganda yan, ano, na we are feeling safe to share. Ayan, no, pagod pero hindi susuko. Ayan, determined to finish the week productively and tired and happy. So I'm very, very glad to see all of that. And do send your positive energies to everyone, lalo na po yung mga napapagod, para po we can still continue. No? Mahaba pa yung linggo, pero at the same time, there's so much to look forward to. All right. I do understand, no? Keep the answers coming para makapagkamustahan po tayo. I do understand that in our participant profile, not all of us are already practicing coaching. Maybe some of us are interested to be professional coaches, but some of us are also informally coaches in our own way. So maybe, no, as mentioned earlier, you could be working. You can be a manager or a teammate and you see someone that could use additional support, then you would like to have a very empowering conversation with that person. Or maybe you're a parent and you're seeing anxiety or some mental health concerns, or maybe some habits that need redirecting in the people in your life. Maybe a coaching conversation can be something, no, that would be helpful in that regard. But just so we're all in the same page, and this is not any official definition, this is just our definition for this webinar today, let's talk about what we mean by emotionally intelligent coaching and how you can use it. So emotionally intelligent coaching is the use of EQ or emotional intelligence competencies to co-create a relationship that, one, provides safety to explore values, ayan, strengths, motivations, and goals, but also it provides guidance and empowerment for the coachee so that they can work towards what they desire as positive outcomes for themselves. Now, as we look at po, no, anong ibig sabihin natin when we say EQ coaching, there's so much to unpack in this definition. First, we're going to talk about our main arsenal, which is the EQ competencies. Traditional emotional intelligence frameworks define the competencies of emotional intelligence into four. So when we say EQ competencies, that is our ability to be self-aware, basically to understand and acknowledge the things that we are thinking and feeling, to be able to observe ourselves as we interact with the different people in our life. But also, we talk about self-management, that you're not just aware, but you can regulate your emotions and you can use the same emotion so that you can put forward the best version of yourself. But EQ is not just about self-awareness and self-management. We're also talking about being able to handle and manage the emotions of other people. So it also has the competency of other awareness, no, being able to know what others are feeling, being able to empathize, but at the same time, going beyond that and actually managing the emotions of other people. So in a way, you can say, at its peak, at its highest, emotional intelligence is really about co-regulation, meaning I will regulate myself and also I will regulate the people I interact with so that we can stay in a place or in a position or a state that is productive for us. And so that is going to be the focus of our coaching conversation, this EQ competencies. But what do we mean when we say coaching conversation? I'm sure you have a mental picture of what a coach is. Now, I'll share with you a bit about that later. But in this definition, one word is very important, and that's the word relationship. A coaching conversation or any helping relationship, counseling, psychotherapy, before you think of techniques, because we'll have a discussion on some skills you can use. But before the techniques, the what to ask, how to ask it, what are the step 1, step 2, step 3, it's really about establishing a relationship, being able to be trusted by a person who comes to us for coaching skills, at the same time being able to give ourselves without imposing or really not acknowledging the autonomy or the independence of the person asking us for help. So the word co-create there, you see that in the positive workplaces, mission, vision. Co-create really means it's a collaborative relationship. It is not teaching. It is not indoctrination. It is not pushing forward what has to happen. It is co-creating that relationship. All right, I'm seeing people in the chat box saying the slides are not moving. I am in the emotionally intelligent coaching slide. Is that the same thing you're seeing? Ayan. Let me know if, okay, yan. Madaldal lang ako, hindi lang gumagalaw masyado yung slide. But we will let you know when we are in the next one. Ayan. But yeah, I'm just maybe trying to show na I guess some of us have misconceptions about what coaching is. Like when you look at it this way, I don't know if you know this guy. This is Vinnie Jones. Siya yung madalas na kinakas mga football coach or sport coach pag nanonood kayo ng pelikula. I pulled this up in my favorite movie. If you're with my generation, this is She's the Man with Amanda Bynes. But si Vinnie Jones, he's always casted as the sports coach na merong particular stereotype. Di ba? Pag nakakita kayo ng coach, kadalasan pag sports, sila yung mga sumisigaw. Yan, kaya mo pa ba? Kaya natin. Sige lang, di ba? Anong ginagawa mo dyan? Ba't nakahiga ka pa? Nasasayang ang araw, di ba? We really think of coaches as people who are very loud, very passionate, and sometimes pushy to the point na not respectful already of our capacities, but they're romanticized as someone who can bring out the best in people. And to a certain extent, we all could use a Vinnie Jones in our life. Like ako, I could use someone who would tell me, no, to exercise and shout at me every morning to move up. But when we think about empowering other people, this approach is just one way. This is just one version of coaching. Sometimes empowering others can be quiet, can be reflective, can be not really pushing, but even acknowledging if a person is stuck or not moving and dealing with the emotions that come with that so that the person could face the reality of what they're experiencing. And this is what makes coaching very different from how we traditionally conceptualize a coach or a motivator. So for us to appreciate this, we need to go back to what emotions are and how we can use that to make better versions of ourselves. Emotions for the longest time seem to be this mysterious thing that we just have to respond to. No, and people have always tried to even justify their actions or decisions based on what they feel. For example, sa hindi ko siya mapatawad, sa galit pa ako ngayon sa hindi ko to kaya We sometimes like end a sentence with our emotional state as if it's the be all and end all of everything. And it stops there. By feeling the emotion, it stops there. But more recent studies even, as well as movement towards support and coaching, tell us that our emotions are more than that. They're actually very powerful tools for self-mastery and leadership. For example, emotions are actually what allows us to see reality. So before we say no na I don't understand, I don't want to feel, I don't want to acknowledge what I feel, one thing we can look at is there's a purpose why emotions are given to us. And that's to acknowledge our reality. In the right-hand section of this slide, you can see a rubber band na nakatension between vision and current reality. That's actually the description of personal mastery or personal leadership. Na when we want to mature and move forward in life, we really have to balance the tension between what is reality and what is our vision. So sometimes hinihila tayo ng vision. We try to change our reality so that we can get to where we want. Or baliktad, hinihila ng reality yung vision natin. Meaning you have to change maybe your aspirations to make it more realistic or doable at a particular point in time. But it does involve being able to get in touch with both reality and what you want. A lot of coaching nakafocus lang sa what you want. What's your vision? But you want to find out what's the starting point, what's the baseline. And your emotions is what will tell you that. For example, why are you sad? You're sad because there's something that's lost, important to you that's lost, and it's happening and you need to attend to that. Why are you anxious? There's danger. You need to attend to that. Why are you happy? There is something in your life that's engaging you and energizing you. Something good is happening and you want to acknowledge that. Why are you bored? Because your life, your reality is maybe without much stimulation and you're being challenged to keep on going and finding the things that will energize you. So your emotions are important because they are the hallmarks of where you would look at reality. A person who consistently denies what they feel cannot look at what is happening in their life. They just tend to work in a routine, maybe do the same thing they did yesterday, and then they just wake up wondering, why am I languishing or not flourishing in life? So we need to help people navigate their emotions to get in touch with their reality. We also need emotions because emotions are, as Susan David, who wrote Emotional Agility, said, the beacon of our values. They help us decide what next to do because all of our emotional response tell us about what is important to us. So before we get overwhelmed with what we feel, for example, bago tayo madala ng galit or lungkot or frustration, let us first reflect, no? I am feeling this way because there is a value that is either being served or not served. For example, no, bakit masama ang loob mo na napagsalitaan ka ng hindi maganda? Because you value respect, you value smooth interpersonal relationship, you value being given what you give, no? So you don't deserve something given that you're being nice and exerting the effort to assist another person. So as you understand, okay, ito pala yung mga importante sa akin, these are my values, then you can either live a life of character, even if things are not okay, you're living true to your values and who you want to be. Or if you have to decide between two things, ayan, that are important, then you can use your emotion to navigate which of the values you'd like to serve or you want to negotiate between the two values. But certainly our emotions also direct our behavioral response to things. I like Frank Blue's question, how do we manage our emotions in a better way? I'll get to that in a bit. Now we also have a slide on that. But yeah, no, what we feel will make us react. Sometimes if we're not balancing our emotions with logic, we will react in a very reactive way, or we're not thinking about what's the right way or strategic way for us. But if we are more emotionally intelligent, then we can calibrate our response so that we can use our emotions to get to what's better for us, what's strategic, what has long-term value for us, or basically your vision. Because coaching is directing you to your vision. So how do you use your discontent or your contentment to get to the point that you want to be in? So that is the power of emotions and emotional intelligence and how that can help with coaching. The challenge though, for anyone who want to support their peers, their loved ones, their co-workers, is it's not easy to balance working with relating with people. Because a coach has to do both. You have to challenge a person to perform, especially for those who would coach in a work environment, doing executive coaching, for example, or skills, upskilling of their team. Meron tayong focus on what needs to be done. However, hi Nino, good afternoon. But also we need to focus on how to relate and make that person feel good. Especially if you're coaching someone in distress or maybe experiencing a mental health concern, then you also want to express empathy. The challenge though is studies of our brain show that the part that takes care of task, analysis, performance is very different from the part of the brain that takes care of relationships. In fact, not just different, but they suppress each other, so that it's so difficult to balance both at the same time. So the challenge here is for the coach first. If you want to start a helping relationship with anyone, be it formal or informal, that you regulate yourself first and you become aware how you can shift comfortably between the two things. Because a lot of our interpersonal issues are about those two things: getting things done, solving the problem, and saving the relationship. You think about conflict, for example, di ba? Pag may nakakaaway tayo or we disagree with someone or we're not really gelling well with our teammates, there are two things that you want to accomplish. You want to make sure the task is done to everyone's satisfaction, but you also want to make sure the team is intact or the family is intact despite us getting to that goals. But yun nga, it takes consciousness to do both things, because our brains cannot do both at the same time unless with practice or training. So ang good news naman, our brains are malleable, we call that neuroplastic. So if hindi ka sanay to look at well-being and performance and then swing back and forth the two, by practicing the different skills we're going to look at today, you can eventually get the hang of it so that it's automatic. Ayan. So I hope that's something that's interesting for you. Now, Before I discuss what is a safe and empowering coaching conversation, I want to get to know what you have experienced already, because I'm pretty sure no, whether you've had a formal coach or you're just having friends no support you along the way, you've felt some empowering conversations across your life. So there's a Mentico there. Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing. You have the option of clicking on the link so that it would redirect you, opening a browser in your device or another device, menti.com, and enter code 82946389, or just scan the QR code that's in the screen. And I want you to just practice this reflection. I'll give you a few moments to think about it. So think of a time when you've had a conversation with a coach, maybe a life coach, an executive coach, or a coach figure. So maybe a mentor in your life, someone you trust, no, someone you look up to, someone training you, upskilling you, or just motivating and engaging you. And think of a time that that conversation felt empowering and safe. So I want you to surface, ayan, no? You can also answer in the chat box ha, kapag difficulty going to Menti, like what Luisa is doing right now. What are the elements that were present during that conversation? And maybe you can share in the Menti link. So I'll stop share for a bit so we can pull up the slide. But ang ating hanahanap talaga is, ayan, ang bilis no, ng mga participants ng Positive Workplaces. We want to look at elements of a safe and empowering coaching conversation. So I'm seeing here warm, very nice. Not, I guess it means no, that you feel some rapport with the person, you feel the person is accepting, they're not heavy to talk to, ayan. Very nice. The person offers a listening ear and empathy. So not judgmental, being able to understand where I'm coming from, what's my situation, what's my context. Ayan, no, I'm seeing empathic listening as an ongoing theme also. Ayan, when they are intelligible, maybe when there's something to learn from them or it's easy to understand them. So communication skills on the part of the coach, to explain maybe step one or what's the next thing to do, what are the advice that would work, what are the best practices to explore. So maybe a good communication skill is also important there. Ayan. I like this also, open communication where we can throw ideas. I think the key words there is without fear. No, kasi safe eh. Ibig sabihin, I don't fear consequences, for example. Kasi if dual roles, di ba, yung coach mo, kunyari, coach mo na siya, tapos manager mo pa siya, nakakatakot, baka matanggal ako sa trabaho if I become totally honest. But if we can talk to someone without mask, di ba, maybe that is what would be helpful for us. Ayan. I also like the respect part here, no? Trust, safety, openness, and respect. I guess the respect here is there is no power imbalance. So a coach is someone who has the same level as you, even though they may have some study or background or training in coaching. At the same time, they view you as the expert of their life, of your life pala, while they are the expert at engaging you to make the most of that life. Ayan, very nice, no? I'm also gonna pull up some of the other answers na mas mababa. Ayan, calm environment, calm voice. Ayan, totoo yan, ano? Even the non-verbals that we have, they can be already permission, no, for people to express their innermost emotions. Ayan, affirmation is also something that that you share is very, very significant. Ayan, I'm seeing also in the chat box, no, understanding, empowering everyone, and accepting, loving. I love that. No, thank you, Lawrence. No, encouragement, ayan, and empathy. So very, very nice. I think we all seeing a theme here, no, going about on what makes a very, very empowering and safe coaching conversation. It's basically warm, non-judgmental, empathic listening, encouraging, and also a sense of being equal with the person that you are talking to. And yes, I agree, no, very much. This is really what a safe and empowering conversation should be like. I guess to summarize this, though, we can look at 6 things that create safety and empowerment in coaching. And this is also, I guess, the definition of what safe and empowering is. So as I go through them, I already want you to reflect if this is something that you provide to the others who function as your coachee. So I know na meron tayong different interests why we registered for the webinar. So you may be thinking of someone who can be your coach. I want you to think if these are things that you can provide to them or have been providing to them already. So you can affirm the skills you're practicing and also learn some new ones. I'll also survey you how to best do this kasi we also have best practices and we can learn from everyone. Okay. So what is safety and empowerment? It starts with sharer safety. Sharer safety is creating an environment that allows a person to disclose. Because it starts right there. You cannot coach unless the person is talking to you and particularly opening to you about their concerns. Now remember, when a person is asking for coaching, it's usually to share about things that they're not good at yet, so great, not good at yet, or something that they find that they're struggling with. Maybe it's something that they are afraid they would be judged about, or maybe something that they have been keeping for inside themselves for a very, very long time. And so not everyone is someone that you feel conducive, di ba, to talk to. Alam natin yan kasi hindi naman tayo lahat nag-share with everyone. We have levels of intimacy depending on who the person is in our life. Meron tayong sasabihan lang ng hi, hello, how's your day? At meron tayong sasabihan ng frustration natin sa sino ang nagtatap sa election results ngayon. At meron tayong share ng mga decisions that we're not really proud about. So there's level of intimacy that we're talking about. So what are the skills that you use for sharer safety? I think at the start here is the ethical and the ethical responsibility of being able to keep confidentiality. You want to be empowering and safe, you have to first assure that you're not a gossip, or you will not intentionally or subconsciously use the information you get to change how you behave towards a person in a negative way. So minsan kasi we cannot keep that boundary. And if you want to be a safe and effective coach, you have to be able to promise that this is a safe environment, that no one will know, and that there will be no consequences, even if you tell me something that jeopardizes the company, its information that does not help us or put you in a good light. Of course, confidentiality, as with all helping relationships, have a limit. So we do know if there's risk to the person's life or to other people or other vulnerable populations, we do have to break the confidentiality. But in general, since coaching is for well populations, that's never encountered. So sharer safety can start with that. It can also start with safe environments, private, conducive conversations. You want to ask your children or your brother or sister how they're doing. You don't ambush them, di ba? You don't ambush them in the public place at a time they're not prepared to ask what they're experiencing or what they want to improve. You want to create an appointment so that they can dispose themselves to prepare for what they want to talk about. And yes, lahat ng sinabi nyo kanina, non-judgmental, di ba? Open, encouraging, empathic are very important for sharer safety. Okay, how about the next skill that we're looking at? That's explorer safety. Ayan, pag coaching pala, para palang explorer, yung ating coach at ang ating coachee. What are we exploring? Can you let me know sa chat box, what do you think people are exploring in a coaching sessions? Bakit kailangan may safety? Ano ba ang ina-explore? Baka ayan, their choices and decisions, sabi ni Joseph. What else? Problems they're experiencing, sabi ni Rezan. Feelings, sabi ni Ruby Ann. Yeah. reactions of the team members, challenges, unique coping mechanisms, options, no, sabi ni Sir Henmar, ideas, no, point of view, sabi ni May. Ayan, strengths and weaknesses. Ayan, their current state of mind. Basically, their own internal world. Coaching is about surfacing the other person's values, no, goals in life, strengths, no, challenges, maybe obstacles, feelings, behavior. It's really about holding a mirror in front of yourself and then no, checking. Okay, what is the real state of the nation as far as my life is concerned? Now, for anyone who has shared with another person, we know that this exploration is emotionally threatening experience, especially if we're not used to reflection, right? And especially if we're going to dig something that is maybe painful or doesn't put us in a good light. For example, no, if you made a decision that hurts somebody else or is morally questionable, how do you create a safe conversation that will let another person really look at themselves and really just say, okay, I'm willing to examine how things are going in my life. So yes, no, yeah, no, tama, someone's feelings towards the situation. So it's very important to give this explorer safety, and that would mean being patient as the person sorts out what they're conscious of or not conscious of. But it also means that whatever you hear, you approach it with love. I like what is said in the Menti, no? Love is there. You accept. Kasi a common question that we start no, when we are learning coaching or even counseling is, what is your view about human nature? Do you think people are inherently good or inherently bad? Or somewhere in between, they're morally neutral? And I hope that we're coming from a position of thinking that, you know, even the most questionable things are done no, with the best intentions or sometimes because of lack of opportunity to know or learn better or differently. So, ang question ko sa inyo dyan, di ba? Ano yung mga kasalanan na para sa inyo unforgivable? Therefore, it's hard for you to practice unconditional positive regard? Na pag yun ang dinulog sa inyo sa coaching, talagang hindi mo matiis, mapapareact ka, no? Or, di ba, what are the kinds of people that make you dysregulated? Anong klase ng mga tao na wala namang ginagawa sa itsura pa lang, dating pa lang, parang naiinis ka na. And that is something that we have to suspend. We have to bracket all of our emotional responses if what we want is to provide a safe and empowering coaching situation. We also need to be able to provide what we call a learner safety. So coaching is about skill building, usually life skills, right? We coach so that people can learn time management, how to relate with others, how to be assertive, how to energize themselves, how to manage anxiety, how to talk positively to themselves. There's a lot of teaching and learning that has to happen. And so we also need to be able to provide learner safety because learning is not easy. Exploring is one thing, knowing how to do something next and maybe going through the pacing, we all have a learning curve, di ba? Is very, very important. So may mga tao, di ba, na madaling i-pick up. Ayan, di ba? Meron mga tao na it takes them a while. We need to do a bit more processing. But they have to be within a situation where they can learn. And that means providing safety to make mistakes. Right? Some of us coaches, no, na-frustrate tayo kasi 3 oras na natin silang kinakausap or ilang sessions na tayo tapos pagbalik nila sa atin, ganun pa rin, di ba? The same with our family members. 10 ulit ko na yun ina-explain sa kanya, hindi pa niya makuha. Ayan, no? So maybe the person could use some more learner safety. Meaning, okay, I don't understand this. I'm not doing well at this, but how can I gradually learn what needs to be learned? And we do know from the growth mindset that everything is learnable, right? No matter how it is at the beginning, what's your baseline, learning is a very, very important thing. Ayan, no? And tama, no? Lawrence is saying we don't want to be at the mercy of our emotions. We want to use them also. So that is something that we can learn and we can teach. No? Minsan talaga, everything is still just about being a work in progress. Di ba? Wala namang taong mature na pinanganak agad. So, yun yung challenge sa atin. But we also want to provide what's called challenger safety. Ayan. I apologize for the baby crying in the background. My little girl just woke up. Challenger safety is allowing our coachee, to tell us if they think we are wrong, right? And maybe challenge even our assumptions. And you have to have an ego that is broad enough to accept that. Challenger safety is very important if you are also a mentor or a manager or an HR personnel coaching people at your workplace. You cannot come in and say, because I'm the one in position, I know the right thing to do. Challenger safety is when people we are coaching are allowed to say things that they think would make the outcome better, but not necessarily aligned with your point of view as a coach. And this is where autonomy comes. Because at the end of the day, sabi natin, di ba, coach, co-create only, they facilitate only, they empower only, but we cannot impose our thoughts, values, or what we think is the right decision to them so that they will apply it. So while there's no value-free coaching, right? Lahat tayo may sariling values. Those values need to be bracketed so that at the end of the day, any decision your coach makes is their own decision based from their discernment of right and wrong. And lastly, basically do no harm. Do no harm. If you have to say something that would hurt a person so that they could get better, if you have to hurt a person to heal them, choose not to hurt them at all in the first place. If you have to open a wound that will make them possibly, potentially relieve a trauma, don't start. Don't open. Don't have that conversation. If they can come off worse, even if there's only a 20-30% chance of that, always choose the option that does not do harm. And you are a more emotionally intelligent coach if you do that. Okay. Another reflection, please re-enter the Menti. Ayan. If you left, just go to the same link. I'll reshare. Ayan. Just go there. If you haven't left, then pwede naman na just stay there. I'll just change the slide. I want you to now to have some reflection activities, And this is a reflection about the different safety levels there is in a safe and empowering coaching conversation. So I want you to rate yourself if you strongly disagree or strongly agree, and just move the lever there kung saan kayo mas malapit. Ayan. So in the coaching conversations that you have, do you practice sharer safety? Do you practice explorer safety? Do you practice learner safety? And do you practice challenger safety? And you can be as honest as you can. The purpose of this webinar is also for us to affirm what we're doing well, but also to see, ano ba yung pwede pa nating i-improve as we move forward in life. Thank you so much. I'm seeing a lot of answers there already. So far from the 56, moving up 58 people I have in the room, most naman of our answers are skewed to the right, which means na we are creating a lot of safety in our coaching conversations, which is really, really good. That is a good start. So there's effort there. I guess pag tiningnan mo na lang relative, mataas pa rin naman, but relative to the others, maybe nandun pa lang tayo sa sharer safety, which is a good start. People feel free to talk to us. But maybe we can improve a bit more on making it safe for them to explore their light, their darkness, no, their dreams as well as their failures, their vision as well as the reality in which they live in. Also, challenger safety is relatively lower, but still in a good number, no? So maybe the challenge for us also is how do we surrender the power of being a coach, diba? Of being able to be the right person. You know, if I hear a applicant for psychologist in our center who would tell me na kaya ko siya dapat i-hire kasi she understand human nature very well. Marami na siyang client na nakausap. Medyo nag-ano ako doon, ninenervous ako para sa kanya. I think everyone needs to have that humility, no, to be able to be challenged still because there are 500 things you don't know. The human person is very complex, and the humility to accept that is very, very critical as we move forward. Okay, more mentee self-reflection. Can you also, may statement 3 na naiwan, sorry, ignore the statement 3. I respect coaches' right to decide, right? And I exert effort to do no harm. Do you agree or strongly agree? Or why are you in the spectrum? No? So, ayan. Okay. So, I'm seeing answers are coming in. You can choose not to answer na or maybe manghula na lang kayo sa statement 3. Hindi ko yata siya nabura. Ayan, okay. Ayan. So we're seeing answers. We're 40 now in the chat box. Let me see also the chat box inside our mentor room. Okay. Ayan, okay. Thank you so much no for sharing. Sige, pull up ko lang kasi mabilis siyang umakyat. Ayan, okay. Yeah, no, I do agree. No, sometimes the challenge that we have is really in that area of being challenged. No, so ayan, we need the humility, as Rachel would say, to provide the challenger safety. Okay, so still very good. No answers. It's still above the midpoint at 3.8 and 3.9, but maybe ito yung area that we need to work on. We have to respect another person's right to decide, even if that decision is contrary to what we believe is helpful for them, unless, of course, their life is at risk. But part of that being a respectful of autonomy is letting people also make mistakes and not being controlling of what they want. And yes, no effort to do more harm is also very important to create safe and empowering coaching conversations. All right. Thank you. I love the interaction that we're having here. Let me just resume to our deck. I'll just go through very quickly with the ones that are on the next. So I think from just the discussion of the kinds of safety and empowerment that we're looking at, we can already infer what are the things that we need to do. But I'll highlight some skills also that you can practice and think about, put in mind, para in your further coaching conversations, you can be more aware if these are the things that you're doing. Okay, so some quick tips on how to be an emotionally intelligent coach. Of course, first things first, ayan, make sure that you manage or regulate your own emotions or energy. We do know from the mental health spectrum that all of us, even the most resilient, can swing a little to the right of the spectrum towards stress, struggling, or crisis, or swing a little to the left, or a lot to the right, or a lot to the left, depending on the different challenges in our lives. You would want to know how to regulate yourself first, because it's really true. You cannot give from an empty cup. If you're not okay, if you're overwhelmed, if it's already too much, maybe you need to attend to yourself first. But I also want to say that stress is deceptive for a lot of people. Because merong mga tao na even when they're overly stressed, they're still pushing themselves and they feel energized. And minsan they think when they're in that zone, wherein there's a lot of adrenaline and cortisol in their body, reacting to the high stress situation, feeling nila they're actually okay. But you know what? The more cortisol, that's the stress hormone that is in your body, the more likely that the frontal lobe of your brain, which is responsible for critical thinking, gets shut down. Kasi ang katawan natin, nagpre-preserve yan ng energy pag stress tayo. Gusto niyang ipunin yung energy. So pinapatay niya yung mga systems of our body that they feel is not useful in a crisis. That includes our over analytical thinking, our frontal brain. And then we act on mere instinct. No? So it's our amygdala. It's a part of our brain responsible for reactive, instinctive response that takes over. So even if you feel energized by stress, it's quite possible your attention is narrow and you're not as open-minded or open, no, to seeing and empathizing with other people as you would think. You want to be a good coach, do your best to get at least, no, some equilibrium. Di naman sinasabi na kailangan wala kang stress sa buhay ever, but kailangan you can temporarily set them aside as you face someone who is asking for your help. So I want to ask, no, who do you think are the people or situations that make you dysregulated? Di ko na po isa-survey in the interest of time. But may mga tao na nakaka-stress sa atin o situations na nakaka-stress sa atin. Be aware of them so that you can calibrate when to schedule or how to approach your coaching sessions or conversations around these stressful or dysregulating situations. Whenever you're facing someone and you want to motivate them towards action, always frame every problem they raise to you as a learning problem, not an execution problem. Meaning, hindi sa hindi ka magaling, hindi mo kaya, hindi mo magawa, hindi mo ma-perfect, hindi ka capable, there is always just a skill that we haven't learned yet or mastered yet, a strategy we haven't considered, and the coaching situation is precisely to learn and get better. So this is a more optimistic approach rather than allowing our coachee to internalize everything that is wrong that is happening in their life. You also would want to be active and constructive in your response. What is active and constructive? We know what constructive is, supportive, encouraging, motivating. But pag sinabing active, ibig sabihin, hindi lang siya passive, no? Ibig sabihin, it's memorable. It stands out in a positive way. It's something that the coachee will feel. So don't just say, I'm so proud of you, you did this. You can outline what you're proud of. I'm really so proud of you because this is what I noticed. This is what you did. These are the skills that you use. You've come a long way. And I'm so happy for everything that you have shown. Even if they're not doing okay, the mere fact that they're sharing, thank you so much for being very open. Not everyone has the courage to do that. And I want to say you're already in the step in the right direction. So being active and constructive also means your nonverbal speaks with you. We know that now when we talk to children, we want to smile, we want to have a voice that is really sincere, but also hopeful and upbeat. And but yes, no, whatever the emotion, practice empathy. I think we saw it in the mentee. Empathy is using the 5 L's. Look at the person, even if it's remote, no? Just look at them. Pagod na ba sila? Are they sad? Are they happy? When you ask them, kamusta? Right? Pag sabing okay lang, no? Yung okay lang na yun ba ay merong subliminal text, may subtitle sa ilalim? So always set aside what you're doing to look. Just listen. You have to talk less to understand the person. Because when you talk less and you listen, you learn who the person is. As mentioned, whatever you learn, love and accept. And when you do that, you free the person because they can explore themselves without judgment. That's your exploration, explorer safety. And lastly, no, at the end, always look for sparkling events that shine out in a positive way. I borrowed this from narrative therapy. This is called thickening the plot. Thickening the plot means, no, meron tayong stories, subplots ng ating buhay na positive, pero kasi hindi natin binibida. So kailangan ang coach magaling magbida. Kahit na pahapyaw lang sinabi yung positive. No? For example, sabi niya, I'm so depressed, wala na akong magawa. Ang nagawa ko lang naman ay diniligan ko yung halaman ko kanina. No? You can say, oh, you have plants. No? You were able to water your plants. What kind of plants that you have? No? Do you, what is gardening a hobby that you've always been interested? Is it something that gives you energy? How come you can take care of plants and keep them alive even if you're depressed? What are you doing that's helping? Where are you looking for the motivation? So smaller things that people tend to ignore but are positive or sparkling in a way, the more we can put that to the foreground, the better we can create a positive energy that will open the person to the change that we want. And yeah, whatever it is, no, at the end of the day, understand yourself first so that you can provide the needs of the person talking to you. Ayan. So I think I went very much over time in the discussion, but I hope it was a learning experience for you. So thank you very much. I think we can answer some questions or read some of your comments and sharing at this point.
Thank you very much, Kay. That was a very insightful session. And may I just share that this is actually the most attended webinar for the year. We are currently 452 inside this meeting room. So let me just share my screen. So for those of you who have questions, you can put it in the chat box or you can scan the QR code so that you can type in your questions at Pigeonhole and also share the link on our chat box so you can just click that link. But we already have some questions. Actually, bago ako magsimula, meron ng isang question na nakalagay dito. So actually, the first question kanina was, hi, I'm working for an NGA. I'd like to ask, how can I, as an HR officer, be able to help in the facilitation of an effective coaching conversation among employees in a government setting?
That's a very nice question. When you want to create coaching or introduce coaching in the workplace, I think the first thing you need to think about is don't think of it as a session, a coaching session. Think of it as a coaching culture. Medyo magkaiba yun kasi it means that you wanna encourage also people to attend the coaching, not just for compliance, but because they see the merit and the value of that conversation. So I'm guessing the best way to do it is to get buy-in first from someone who is deciding for the company on whether or not it's within your interest, no, to spend or invest in training potential coaches to do that. It will also mean, di ba, na as we empower particular members of the group, like the HR team or the managers, to do the coaching, they themselves undergo processing first, or maybe they reflect first on what are the issues that they may have that may interfere in that coaching function. And then after that, plan on how it can be a system. So a system can mean it's something regular. Like instead of, 'di ba? Minsan kasi naiinis na sa coaching kasi alam naman ang tinatawag yung yung disciplinary action. So nagiging parang yung guidance counselor sa school lang, may reputation si coach, no? So something structured. What's the structure? Does everyone have to attend a coaching session once a quarter? What's the agenda? What's the structure? How do we get buy-in from everyone to attend, and how do we give options to opt out for people who don't find it helpful? So medyo masalimuot, but I guess yung start is to just advocate it, maybe learn the skills, practice it with someone para you can get the buy-in from someone who would like to support that coaching culture that you want to create. Ayan. I hope, Steph, no, that answered the question.
Yes, so we also have questions here in the chat box. Let's read one. So Alexandra asked, hi, Ms. K, what if the coachee is too reserved or does not really participate in the process of coaching? Kasi parang they're just doing it for compliance. What can we do if ma-encounter namin to?
Yeah, okay. At the start of coaching has to be a lot of rapport building. Rapport building means making the person feel at ease and understand what are the things to expect in the coaching session. So maybe they're reserved because they're trying to get a feel muna of you, whether or not they want to disclose or whether or not it's to their benefit to do a coaching. If that happens, I suggest then move back to a neutral conversation. Maybe ask something that they're interested about. Maybe make this coaching session, the goal of the coaching session is just to encourage disclosure and trust. So you don't have to accomplish anything as of yet, just yet. So actually, kahit magkwentuhan kayo sa coaching ng favorite yung Netflix drama, that should be fine. Kasi we have different paces of when we will open up. And remember, reserve naman is not necessarily bad. So you can also consider other modalities aside from talking that would be helpful for that person. If they're introverted, maybe a worksheet would help, creative output will help, maybe anything that's less threatening for them. What's their comfort level in expressing? Then we can be creative in how we approach that.
Okay, thank you. We also have another one from Erica. I think a lot of people are wondering, what's the difference between counseling and coaching?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about that you can find in the blog section of the Child Farm Possibilities website. Nag-promote na. Just go to childfarmpossibilities.com. I had a long article on the differences among counseling, psychotherapy, coaching, and psychiatric consultation. But very quickly, both are for well clients, but coaching tends to be skill building and present oriented. So as the nature of the coach is, you want to motivate someone to pursue something that they want for themselves. They identify a goal, whether for personal or professional development or for executive excellence, if they're leaders or managers. And then you work together so that they can accomplish that goal. Counseling tends to be more exploratory, treatment oriented rather than skill building. There's a lot of exploration of things even in the past, things in the unconscious, subconscious, and it's quite possible that it can cover even not just issues, but also issues like mild depression or mild anxiety, or even other mental health presentations that are there. So because the training of a counselor involves also the abnormal psychology, theories of personality, it can veer more towards that treatment aspect, although it can still be just about thriving or flourishing or being the best that you can be. So may overlap. And sa totoo lang, kahit yung mga coaching organizations at counseling organizations nag-aaway sa definition. So kanya-kanyang definition. So there's no clear response to that. But generally, those are areas that you can look at. So if you're well, you just want to be motivated, find a life plan, upskill yourself. Coaching may be good. If you're veering more to a deeper exploration, more treatment, healing oriented, then counseling may be the option that's better for you.
Yes, thank you for that. I
Yeah.
think we have a lot of students who are wondering, should I take up counseling or should I take up courses on coaching? And in relation to that, we also have a question from schools and academic institutions. So in that context, how can one, as an individual, help create a culture of safe mentoring if the entire organization does not prioritize it?
Yeah, medyo challenging siya talaga, no? Because it's really culture that we want to build. I guess the entry point is to find what is something that everyone cares about and make that the goal of the coaching program. Like now, COVID, no? It's really wellness. In an academic institution, it's really teacher wellness, no work-life balance, maybe navigating the transition to going back on site. Mga teachers, mukhang pababalikin na kayo ng DepEd. So on-site, no, something that people really resonate with, and then frame the coaching conversation around that. Kasi very broad kasi yung kung life coaching in general. And then if we can address something that really target something people resonate with, and you can justify it with some numbers, right? Meaning you can measure engagement, attendance, presenteeism, absenteeism, or even just general felt support from the administration. I think mas madali na siyang ibenta na kailangan i-prioritize siya the next time. So maybe you can start with that, and then build it from there. No, make it an advocacy by showing people, oh, it works, and there is a benefit to the coaching that we're experiencing.
Yes, I think those are very
Yeah.
important. I think a lot of us are navigating how to parang sell it to the higher ups na well-being should be prioritized and we should put an investment on it right now.
Yeah.
Kurt also shared Jay's article on the chat box, so you can access that and save that for your reading later. So maybe we can answer two more questions. So there's one who said, quote unquote, train them well enough to leave, treat them well enough so they don't want to. How can we apply this principle to disinterested and uncooperative people we coach?
Yeah. Okay. I okay. I think at some point, meron din tayong acceptance na kailangan gawin na buy-in is not always possible for everyone. Like there would always be people who may not see coaching as their way of achieving wellness. And that's fine. Kasi baka we need to figure out what works for them better. Remember, talking is a social skill and not everyone likes talking. So if people are more introverted, less reflective, baka there's another way that would engage them or help train them aside from a coaching conversation. Because I know for a fact, di ba, like Filipinos, hindi tayo, kahit may crisis line, hindi tayo tumatawag kasi mas gusto natin yung crisis line na nagte-text lang tayo. Meron talagang ganong nuances eh. So imagine, paano pa kung face-to-face coaching yung mandatory? Napakahirap for Filipinos who are not used to disclosing themselves. So I guess no, it's really about finding the reason why and maybe removing siguro muna the label of disinterested and uncooperative. There may be a way to reframe that. Maybe they're not disinterested or uncooperative. Maybe they just don't understand it. Maybe they think it's an additional workload. Maybe, which is true, it's an additional workload. Um, or maybe they think, di ba, na the person who's doing the coaching does not have the moral ascendancy to do so. I mean, I'm not saying wala talaga, pero reputations and perceptions matter. Diba? The person who would act as coach also have to have that integrity to be able to be trusted by people. So we analyze first what's the concern para we could support our people better and then more creatively. Doesn't have to be a one size naman fits all for everyone.
Yes, I think that really answers this question. I hope, Marsha, you got that answer you're looking for. So I guess we can do one more. Is there anything that interests you, Kay? We have 7 more.
Yeah, I like the takeaway ni Claire na finding the big why behind the behavior. So maybe not looking lang at the action, but maybe the context and the reason behind the action. Ayan. I promise pala emotional regulation. So let's do the one on I get easily stressed and anxious over matters. How can I manage this? Okay. I think what's important with stress management, it starts with understanding your unique stress signature. Because all of us have our own symptoms of stress. Like, di ba, hindi naman lahat nagiging sumasakit ang ulo. Yung iba, nagkaka-gastric problems, nagiging irritable, nagkakaroon ng migraine, dumadalas ang Shopee, Lazada. So, iba-iba tayo ng signs of stress. So I think the first thing to do is understand when you are already stressed, what are your signs of stress, so that the moment you notice this, you can create activities that could replenish your energy or energize you as you move forward. Now, what those are, my suggestion is to make it holistic. Come up with something that's physical, come up with something that's emotional, maybe come up something with mental, like meditation, or even come up with something social, like hanging out with your friends. If you have a repertoire of easy go-to things that you can do, and then you do it as soon as you notice the first sign of stress, that may get you back into a state of equilibrium quite quickly. Now, in terms of what's evidence-based, no, for stress and anxiety, we do know challenging our thoughts and assumptions is very, very important. So when you are stressed out, maybe you can figure out what's your interpretation of the event that doesn't help. Reality tests if tama ba yung interpretation mo ng what happened, right? And then actively challenge if you don't find it helpful. And if that doesn't help, then just distract yourself. Sometimes distracting is also helpful, especially for overthinking, because we cannot stop ourselves from thinking something by telling ourselves to stop thinking about it. So the best way is to just look at something else. No? We call that grounding. No? So observe your environment, look at five things you see, listen to four things you hear, three things you can touch, you can feel it. Just use your senses so that you're thinking of something else, and then you're giving your mind a break from the anxious loop, no, that it has been playing and distressing you out. So yeah, ayan. No? So thank you, Shalina. Ayan, reality testing. Listening to positive podcast also works, and daily affirmation. Ayan, may advice din si JM. Change of environment without the gadget to unplug.
I
Minsan unplug
agree.
ang kailangan natin, ano, especially if you find the people in your network already triggering for you. Ayan. Paano
Yes.
kung kaya pa ba ng isa?
Yes. Kaya
Sige.
pa, may isa pa nga.
Okay,
Go.
Louisa is saying paano if escapism na. I don't mind a little escapism. Sometimes that's the best thing you can do, especially in a pandemic where the stressors are compounding. It's not like pwede mong bawasan. Di mo naman pwedeng sabihin, COVID, tumigil ka na. Wala ka namang pupuntahan, di ba? So I think escapism is good for as long as it's not chronic, or over the course of time, you're no longer addressing the root cause of the issues that you are experiencing. But escaping from time to time is actually not necessarily a negative thing. So I do Netflix and chill myself, no, kapag hindi ko na kaya, or you can physically escape by removing yourself from the situation. That's not necessarily a negative thing. So Gora, 'di ba? Gorang mag-escape. Basta bumabalik ka kung saan ka dapat para you can do your task still. Ayan. Okay. And marami pang advice in the chat box that people could consider also.
Yes. John says, grabe kay, your tips are so tangible and realistic and very relatable.
Ayan, thank you, John. Ayan, pag si John ang kasama mo to distress, we have video okay. John has 500 different intellectual games to choose from. Kami mga sa kila John ko lang nalalaro ang mga crimes against humanity at kung ano-ano man. Ay, ano, hindi crimes, what's that?
Cards Against
Cards
Humanity, I think.
against humanity. Okay, yeah.
Yes. So we actually have a lot of questions. So maybe just one last more. Meron dito. So you were mentioning a while ago, ma'am, about emotions. How do you differentiate emotions and feelings? What is the best illustration to explain these two words?
Oh, but they can be used interchangeably. I don't think
Mhm.
there's a clinically relevant. When I say clinically relevant, diba, yung practical differences between the two. I think ang mas okay i-differentiate is when is it a normal emotion and when is it a possibly diagnosable mental health condition. A feeling or an emotion, they're very simply a response to something that's changing in your reality. No, as we are saying, it's a beacon of reality. It's something, it's your body telling you stop what you're doing because there's something in your environment you need to pay attention to. So being able to be sad or happy or angry from time to time is not bad, especially if there's a trigger for it. It becomes a source of concern if it becomes a mood that's difficult to snap out of. So if you're sad more times than not, diba, like with depression, in a span of at least 2 weeks, you're doing things that usually lifts you up, of energizes you, but it's not working, or the mood seems to come without any reason and it's difficult to shake off, then certainly those may be a cause of concern already. But that being said, I think feelings and emotions do not have naman any clinically relevant distinction. Baka ano lang siya, words preference for some people.
Okay, merong question dito from Melina na
Yeah.
you offer online consultation or psych-eval virtually. Maybe you could also share to them how they can reach out to Child Fam
All
for
right.
those services.
All right. Thank you, Melina. Yes, we do. So we are offering online counseling, psychotherapy, and psychiatric consult, as well as psych testing and assessment. So if you'd like to book an appointment, you simply email us. Our email is kumusta@childfampossibilities.com. I can type that in the chat box in a bit. And just share your concern and it will revert with an offer of appointment. The alternative is you can visit our website. There is a book an appointment tab. So www.childfampossibilities.com. Meron po doon sa services na book an appointment, and then you'll be directed to a form that will ask a little about your concerns so we can match you with a consultant that matches your needs. So ayan, there you go. So yun, under services, makikita nyo na yung book an appointment tab. Ayan. So pagbaba, ayun,
So there.
Ayan, there you go.
You can just click book an appointment.
Ayan.
Yes.
Ayun.
Okay, so thank you very much, Kay. I'm sure our audience learned a lot this afternoon. And as I said, this is actually the most attended webinar for the whole year. So we're really, really happy to have you. And thank you for giving us this opportunity again to talk about coaching culture in, in different settings. Very, very relevant right now. So again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. So if you would like to know more about positive psychology, leadership, and well-being, follow us on Facebook. We're facebook.com/positiveworkplacesph. And we hope that you will join us again next month. So for the month of December, we are tackling championing leadership and self-fulfillment in the workplace, where we have our Chief Enabling Officer and Chief Wellbeing Officer as our facilitators. So we are discussing what am I here for, building a growth mindset at work, and should I stay or should I go, exploring commitment and hope theory at work. So we're also sharing with you in the chat box the registration link for this event. So we hope that you can still join us. And last but not least, we also saw in the chat box, we always upload our free webinars on our YouTube page. So you can just go to youtube.com/positiveworkplaces, or Anne will share the link in our chat box. So when you go to our YouTube page, you will see this. So we upload all the different webinars here, our free webinars each month. So if you want to rewatch some of our old webinars, or if you want to rewatch Kay's webinar, you can just go here. So don't forget to go to our YouTube page and click subscribe. And you can also click the bell button so that you will always be alerted if we have new uploads. Okay, so now we are sending you our evaluation link. So we hope that you will take time to answer this so that we can improve our services and, of course, bring to you different topics in our free webinars that you will be able to use in your daily life. So Anne has shared the form, our evaluation form, and it will be open for 30 minutes. So be sure to type in the correct details of your name and your email address, because the certificate will automatically be sent to you after you answer the form. So again, thank you everyone. And before we leave or while you are answering, Kay, would you like to give us some last messages?
Yes, I just want to share that I posted or uploaded the presentation deck so that anyone who'd like to
Yay!
refer to the discussion, ayan, you can just download it and then review the things that we have discussed today. And thank you so much for the very warm, safe, and empowering webinar that we have today. Really love your responses and your sharing in our discussion. So more power to positive workplaces and keep safe, everyone.
Thank you, Kay. So I hope you can click on some reactions and give Kay a round of applause, a virtual round of applause. Again, thank you very much. Kay uploaded the handouts for this webinar. You can see it on the chat box. So you can download that for your reference. Thank you, everyone.